Okay. So we'll just give it a few minutes, everybody, for people to come in. I see you all coming in the door. We're looking forward to hosting you for another interesting TechCast session today. We'll just give it a minute before we get going. Yeah, I'm glad it started recording automatically, Ralph. I wouldn't have remembered without Carrie here. She usually hits the go button. So anyway. Just give it another minute or so and we'll get started. Still streaming in the door. All right, well, we're recording anyway, so I'm going to make a start. So our TechCast today, OML services for real-time scoring and digital process automation. It's going to be delivered by Ralf Mueller. He's an architect at Oracle. I'll introduce him more thoroughly in a minute. I am Roger Cressy. I'm your host for today, and I'm one of the founders of the Cubics Group. We're an Oracle Platinum partner, cloud certified. We operate around the world, and we implement ERP, EPM, and BI. But in relation to the AND OUC, Analytics and Data Oracle User Community, I'm one of the volunteers on the board, and I work with a great bunch of people. And it's a real privilege to be able to be a part of this community and help out with this. So without further ado, let's do some housekeeping first so that we can get on with the main event. Obviously, most of you could recite this. There is a roadmap slide in Ralph's presentation, so please take note. The safe harbor statement does apply. In respect of TechCasts like this one, if you want to participate, we'd love you to submit your presentations to on our website. If you go to analyticsanddatasummit.org TechCast, you'll see a place where you can submit your proposals. We've also on the same website, you'll find an archive where you've got both the presentation slides and videos recordings of all of our TechCasts. So most recently we've had Abby, the doctor, giving us a football soccer analytics deep dive. We've had graphs and machine learning by Meli and Richik. So there's lots of interesting stuff. You know, all the pop stars, as it were, Philippe Lyon and Patrick Wheeler and all sorts of people get involved and do stuff. So we've got cutting edge things always available, and there's some good knowledge to gain from it. But please do submit your presentations as well. We'll have helpful links. This is going to be obviously in the slide, in the slide deck that we'll put it, but I'll also paste this into the chat once we get going. We've got merchandise available now, and again, this was created largely by the doctor, by Abby, Charles Lee. So there's some creative stuff in here with a special mind that has created them. In addition to that, there's lots of ways to connect with us. We'd love you to join our community, join us on Slack. You'll find these links. Again, I'll paste these into the chat, the general chat, so you've got them easily available to you. There's a newsletter, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Please come and join us. The other thing we've got coming up in October is our TechCast Days. Our full session runs from October the 12th to the 14th. And it's 3 days, basically, with machine learning, spatial, and graph, and then analytics plus. In respect of that, we're also If anybody's interested in sponsoring a day, that was probably a little quick. Sorry, I'm not going fast enough for you, am I?
I'm sorry.
I'll be quick, I promise. Anyway, so there's 3 days. If anybody's interested in sponsoring a day, you'll find information on sponsorship on the website. There's a sponsorship page, and it'll give you a starting point to see all the packages that you can get hold of. In respect of just some housekeeping, if you do have questions for today, please put them into the Q&A box. Do not put them into chat, and I'll be monitoring that. And then at the end of the TechCast, we'll answer as many of those as we can. The TechCast should take in the vicinity of 30 minutes or so. Depends how quickly Ralf and how much he plays. I don't know. I think I've seen a little bit of him this morning, and we might take a little bit longer, but it's fun stuff. So without further ado, let me introduce Ralf. Really, he's a character. Let me say that. We've had a good morning together already. He's an architect in Oracle product development, and he focuses on intelligent automation. He lives close to Heidelberg in Germany, where he works from his office, and he's done that long before pandemic hit. So his four-legged and furry office mate Scarlett assists during the day and surprises him with additional keyboard strokes and shortcuts that even Steve Jobs doesn't understand. And in his free time, actually, he's out and about with a large format camera from the 60s, photographing urban spaces and what real architects have built with concrete and steel. And again, I've seen some evidence of his skills. So without further ado, Ralf, I hand over to you, sir. Have fun, and we look to learn from you.
Thanks, Roger, for the very nice introduction. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Let's get started. So today I wanted to discuss a little bit about what we do in the process automation space and machine learning. I will not spend too much time on presentation. I'm planning a couple of demos, walk you through the product, how we do things. And you know, in process automation team, we are pretty much a customer or client of machine learning. So I work with Charlie and the Oracle machine learning team together for the last, I don't know, 4 years or so. Let me show you some of the collaborative work that we did. So before I start, I want to give at least a little bit of introduction. What is digital process automation? So when we talk about digital process automation, it's really about automating business processes within an organization to improve the overall efficiency. So you all might have heard about business process management. So business process management was really a practice in place. Maybe it has its height in the late in 2000 to maybe 2010. That was about bringing your paper-based workflows onto the computer, so digitizing your business processes. Digital process automation, on the other hand, assumes that your processes have been digitized already, and now you want to further optimize and automate some aspects of them. And this is where machine learning comes into the picture, into process automation, because really what we want to do with machine learning is we want to help the user make better decisions. Eventually, we can automate certain tasks that earlier on required human involvement, like, for example, approval workflows. And you can use machine learning to really focus on the customer outcome, right? To really make sure that your processes are on point on what the customer wants. And for that matter, the Oracle Machine Learning Platform is a key enabler of what we call intelligent automation. So as part of our product suite, which is today Oracle Integration Cloud that has process automation capabilities, the links are on that link page, so you can go there on what can be done with it. But just wanted to mention here, we offer two kinds of process types, so to speak. So we allow a business analyst to use BPMN 2.0, which is a very popular OMG standard for business process model and notation. It has become an ISO standard. It's quite old and established already, and you use that kind of boxes and arrows to model a business process. On the other hand, processes might become more dynamic. Like, think about complicated insurance claims processes, or in the healthcare industry, patient care. You probably do not know the structure of the process up front. So those are processes that are more data and event driven. And for that, we also have a standard in OMG, which is CMMN, which stands for Case Management Model and Notation. And today I'm going to show an example for both kind of things. Our product is used internally in some of our SaaS applications like Service Cloud, Public Sector Cloud, Sales Cloud, mainly to run approval workflows. You don't see the product in itself, but under the carpet, we run business process management as part of our SaaS applications. So where do the Oracle Machine Learning Services for real-time scoring come into the picture? So first of all, why is it beneficial to use the OML service for real-time scoring? Well, first and foremost, it is the user experience. And I show you an example of that in a couple of minutes. So when we talk about process automation, our service is really, in that no-code, low-code space, meaning that the users of our service, of the process automation service, those are business analysts. Those are not the developers who write code. So it's really the business analyst, or what is called the citizen developer, that quickly puts together a business process to achieve a certain goal for his customer. So in that regard, the OML service for real-time scoring and the AutoML UI fits perfectly into our user experience, in the sense that you don't need a developer that writes a humongous amount of Python code or PL SQL code to build your machine learning models. Really, the idea here is that you can go into Autonomous Data Warehouse, bring up your AutoML user interface, pick your table that you want to use as a data set and where you want to predict certain values, and then the rest is basically happen under the carpet. And once the AutoML UI discovered a nice model for you, you can deploy that model for scoring with a click, and you are done. So that really fits well into our desired user experience in process automation. Then, of course, the OML services, they offer a very rich set of machine learning functionality. I believe by now we have like 30-something machine learning algorithms for classification, clustering, regression, anomaly detection that are supported in Autonomous Database. Plus, with OML services, they open it up, and really what you can do is you can bring your ONNX-based model. So ONNX is a standard. It's Open Neural Network extension, I believe it's called. It has support by many vendors. So if you want to bring your TensorFlow or Keras regression model, you can bring that into OML services as well. And then OML services basically REST enables those machine learning models for scoring. Then on the other hand, we also have like cognitive text services that allow you to do something like text classification, sentiment analysis, and things like that. So it's really, a broad set of use cases that come or technologies that come with the OML services and the AutoML UI. So where do we use that in process automation? First and foremost, it is about to provide additional information for the end user. So imagine you have some requisition that needs approval by a manager. So you can, using, for example, machine learning classification model, you could give some information or some hint whether the manager should approve that requisition or not. Machine learning can also be used to, give some guidance on what the next steps in the process should be, or it can do like a sentiment analysis on the customer comments. So imagine like a service management application where customers are using a process to start service requests, and you have some interaction with the customer, and during that journey the customer is putting comments. So you could use sentiment analysis, and then if the customer puts like really bad comments, you can branch in the process and maybe offer him a discount or something like that. Essentially, when it comes to automation, so there is that automation word in process automation, it is also about the assisting the business analyst to reduce human involvement in the process. And I give a few examples here. So one we talked about is like really the maybe automate tasks that otherwise a human needs to work on, or you can automatically send notifications when you discover SLA violations, upcoming SLA violations in the process. For example, you can use a regression model to predict the cycle time of the process and give upfront information to the user that your process might be overdue and things like that. There are other use cases for fraud handling where you can look at the data and see if the process is involved in handling some fraudulent data, and then send notifications or inform other users. Okay, now let me switch to the demo part of it, to the fun part of it, and I'm going to show a couple of things. I started using Oracle machine learning, of course, a long time ago, but really it grabbed my interest again when Autonomous Data Warehouse came out, and it came with this OML notebook experience. So that was a good time to get into machine learning in the cloud, and to look at it, how we can consume it from the process automation end. So this is actually a notebook, a quite old one, which I started maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It is this car rental case that I talked about in the slide, and that I will demo a little bit later. So I'm not going into the details here. Maybe Charlie has explained many of those things to you already. So this is a notebook, where you create your tables, and then you load some data from a CSV file into your tables, and then you split your data set into a training and test set. You set certain properties for your machine learning algorithms. So in that notebook, I have like 2 algorithms: a classification algorithm to predict on a car acceptance. No, I don't want. No, please don't expire. And I have a regression model that predicts the mileage per gallon for a car. Then you can, of course, do certain visualizations. And then last not least, you start building your machine learning model. And then you can test your machine learning model if they give like, good predictions, good confidence. And this is a test of the regression model where you see that the predicted values somehow, they follow the real values. There is a little bit of a scatter there. That model is not fully optimized. But then, so now you have that machine learning model in your autonomous data warehouse. But then how would you consume it from your application like process automation? And there are two ways to do that. And the way you would do that 3 years ago, or even 3 months ago, would be you would use ORDS RESTful Services to REST enable your machine learning model. And you see this block of PL SQL here, right? And I tell you, I'm the real PL SQL expert, and I know all of those ORDS package procedures out of my head. So I put them here in the notebook. And so you don't have to leave the notebook experience to REST enable the machine learning models for scoring. But in reality, I tell you, what I did was the following, because what is coming with Autonomous Data Warehouse is an ORDS and Apex environment. And what I did is I came here into RESTful Services, and I created a module here for the car evaluation and for the MPG. So you see some of the code here. I show you one for the car evaluation. So that basically wraps a PL SQL procedure. It takes some input and it offers an output, which is the prediction and the probability. Let me scroll down. So you see the output here, the prediction and the probability. So this is basically a PL SQL wrapper around predicting the values. So what does that scorecard evaluation procedure do? I can show you. I wrote that in an article. So that is basically taking the input, and then it does a simple select prediction from that machine learning model and the prediction probability from that machine learning model. And it selects it and it puts the output in the score, because we want the score and the probability, right? So I really modeled that here in the SQL workshop RESTful service environment, which is nice to do those kind of things. But what you can actually do is, you can actually, if you go here, you can go to export, and then you can select your service. So let me select my car service, and you can say export. And what that does, it exports a SQL file for you. And when you open that, look at this. So this is actually the the PL SQL code that pretty much does the exact same thing that you do in the SQL workshop modeling your REST service. So this is a nice and convenient way to get started with the REST service. So you copy and paste that into your machine learning notebook, and then once you get more familiar with that technology, you don't have to leave your machine learning notebook. You basically can come here and do the REST enablement of your machine learning models here. So this is something you had to do up until, I believe, 3 months ago. So fast forward to 3 months ago, what the machine learning organization added to Autonomous Data Warehouse is what they call the AutoML Ui. And using the AutoML Ui, you can do experiments. So basically, you pick a table, and then you can run. You pick a table and what you want to predict, and then you can let it run, and it will give you the best model for that case, right? So it will tell you, what is the accuracy of all those algorithms, and then you can pick one and deploy it. So this is the AutoML UI that allows you to run experiments. But then there is also this models page here. So those are actually the models that are the result of such AutoML UI experiments. And so that shows this kind of models. And you can actually click on one model and deploy it. And deploying means the model will be made available for scoring as a REST endpoint. So when I go, for example, to deployments here, there is this car evaluation model deployed here. And I can, for example, click on here. So this will give you actually the Open API specification to score against the car evaluation machine learning model. So you can use your tool of choice, and there are many tools out there, that code generate Java or other programming language code, client code, so that you can use that Open API as a starting specification and develop code to score against those models. And this is actually what we are using in Oracle Integration Cloud to integrate with Oracle Machine Learning Services for real-time scoring. And I'll show you 2 things here. One is how you would set up such a connection. And let me log into Oracle Integration Cloud. So this is Oracle Integration Cloud. and I can come here to integrations and set up connections. So over here, I have this sales approval scorer connection, and this is a REST API connection, and you give the connection URL, and then you need to configure OAuth custom two-legged flow. So the OML services, they use OAuth 2.0 for authorization, and then what you do in Integration Cloud to set up that connection, you give the HTTP header to actually get the access token request, and then you give the name for the access token and for the refresh token and for the expire value and the token type, and then you specify, how to actually get that access token. And so I can test that, and then it hopefully tells me that the connection is established and successfully working. So now in Integration Cloud, you can use that connection and build an integration flow, or you can use that integration flow in a process. There is another way of doing that, which I also wanted to show you. If you don't want to model an integration flow and a connection, you can model that directly in a process application. So I have prepared a little bit in advance. So I have, for example, a very simple sales approval application that I built. And that has one business process in there. And if you do not want to use an integration flow and a connection that I just shown, you would basically use, we have this concept of integrations in the business process world as well. But then you need to use like two activities. One is to first get the access token, and then you would have another service task to score against your sales classification model. So I set up those integrations here. When you look at them, so I have like really two endpoints. One to get the access token from the autonomous data from the OML services, and then the other one to really do the scoring against the sales classification model. And there is documentation out there on how you do your authentication with OML services and how you do the scoring and that kind of stuff. If time permits, I can show that in Postman in a minute. But let me go to the car rental use case that I wanted to show you. So the car rental use case that pretty much everybody knows about is it's a very simple. I set up a very simple process. So that is actually a case management kind of a process, and which is going through 3 stages. So you do the booking first. Then there is a stage where the customer shows up at the rental car station to pick up the car, and then you have a return stage where the customer is coming back to the rental station to return the car. So now when I run that, let me quickly run that, I can say, okay, I am Scott Tiger, pickup date, return date is okay. I'm starting somewhere at 94065, which I believe is Redwood, and I'm going to 60660, which is one of my famous US cities to go to because I'm into architecture photography, and Chicago is great for architecture photography. And I want a Mazda launch 2.4. So I submit that form. Did I submit it? Yeah. And that created a new case for that, rental car request. So I see a new car rental process created here on August 5. I can open it here. It is actually in the booking stage. So those 2 stages have not been activated. I can check what kind of activities are here. So that is basic. So there are a couple of activities available for me. It's a verify booking that the rental car back office is doing to check like if all the data is correct and things like that. So let me submit that. And then there comes the next stage where, you know, the customer is coming into the rental car store to pick up the car. So this is the customer desk activity that is now activated. When you look at the milestones and stage, you see that we are now in the pickup stage. But there are things that have happened under the carpet already. And the things that have happened under the carpet already is I did run two scoring against the classification model to classify the car if it's acceptable, and also I did score against a regression model to predict the car miles per gallon. So meaning that when I opening up my customer desk, so when the rental car guy opens his customer desk task here, and he expands the form, he sees the basic data here, but then he also you know, gets additional information that is coming back from the machine learning model. So he sees that, okay, it's an acceptable car, and the decision is being made on the number of doors, number of people, and some other data. And this is the confidence, and it's also coming back with a prediction that, you know, this car takes 30.5 miles per gallon. And then it's so I talked about earlier, it's about making better decisions in your process. So the man at the customer desk then can decide, you know, if he should suggest a different car, or, you know, if he believes that this is a good car. So he can approve it, and then the show goes on. I'm not showing that up to the end, because we are almost over time. Maybe one thing I want to do is I really want to you know, show you some of the REST functionality in.
Take a few more minutes, Ralf. It's fine. Even if we just have 5 minutes for questions at the end, that's absolutely fine.
Okay. No, I'm sure I will be done in the next 3 to 4 minutes. I just wanted to show, you know, some of the REST functionality, and I don't want to upgrade my Postman now. So I showed you 2 ways on how to REST enable a machine learning model, right? One was using the ORDS that is coming with Autonomous Database, where you write a little bit of PL/SQL wrapper code that then you REST enable. So you can so this is the and you're posting against this REST endpoint there. Let me try to do that. Yeah, so this gives some prediction back, and you see the body here. This is the body I passed. And then the other way of doing it is really using the OML services for real-time scoring. So this is going against the OML services, and I can do that as well. And you see it's giving a little bit of different result back, and you know, the payload is exactly specified and documented in the OML services document that I showed you earlier. But what you also see is this request took like yeah, maybe let me do that again. It took like around 1.2 seconds. So this is a little bit maybe misleading. You see that this request took like, so this is against the ORDS REST service. So what I wanted to mention here is that in my experience using the OML services for real-time scoring, it's a factor of 3 to 4 faster. The reason it is only a factor of 2 faster here is because I'm on VPN, and, you know, I'm running it from the local Postman against the autonomous data warehouse in Ashburn. But if you are on the same VCN, you see like a significant performance improvement using the OML services compared to the ORDS REST services. So take that in mind. And I'll also show you, so the authorization for that is really, no, this is the wrong thing. The authorization for this is really a bearer token that you need to acquire before you use the scoring REST services. And to acquire the bearer token, you need to post something against a REST endpoint. So this is basically your OSIT of your autonomous data warehouse, and this will, when you send it, this will give you the access token back. You see the access token, it's a bearer token, expires in 1 hour, and this is the access token you would use in your scoring REST services. And with that, I finish, and we have some time for Q&A. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. I guess I showed, and I believe what I wanted to convey is there are a couple of options you can do. ORDS, if you're familiar with ORDS, and you have machine learning notebooks already set up, feel free to do that. But you know, the way forward with OML is really using those OML services. And finally, give me 1 minute. I had a roadmap side. Let me spend 1 minute on the roadmap side. So you've seen that, you know, I showed you Oracle Integration Cloud, how to set up connection. I showed you a business process where you needed 2 service tasks, one to get the authorization token, another to do the scoring. What we are working on is to make that experience much smoother. Essentially, machine learning will become a first-class citizen in process automation. And we worked with the OML team to make sure that we have all the necessary APIs that allow us to browse the machine learning models that are deployed in your autonomous database. And from machine learning models that are deployed, we can get the open API contract, so we know exactly the input and output. So what I'm saying is we are making that experience much smoother for you in process automation, so that at the end, you would see like a nice browser with all the machine learning models that are available for you for scoring, and you simply drag and drop them into your business process model. You don't have to worry then about, you know, authorization tokens and all that kind of stuff. So that is something we are working on. But here and now, you can, of course, use ORDS and the OML services. It's just that you need to do a little bit of additional manual work to get it set up with process automation and your integration flows. And with that, I'm done, I guess. And we open up for Q&A.
Thank you. Thanks, Ralf. I still think your accent is more cool than mine.
You know, I was born and raised in a small village in a very remote area in Germany, and we have a very weird slang up there. So excuse my English slang.
I think it's very good. That was a genuine compliment, not a poke. There are no questions, folk. Ralf did say he would keep his live demo open. If there's questions that you have in respect of anything that he's presented, he's happy to go in and you know, at runtime show you things if there's anything you'd like to understand more about. I have one very serious question, Ralf, and that is, in your example, you used a Mazda. How can a proud German not recommend or be looking at Mercedes or BMW or Porsche?
Because I wanted to demonstrate that I'm not biased at all. Okay.
All right. So yeah, feel free. We obviously will keep this going. We've got about another 5 minutes that I'll keep the call open if people do have questions. All right, here we are. There's Rich Niemick is hi Rich, is asking, is there a way to get the example in the autonomous database notebook you showed somewhere? So, and I knew that question would come up.
Yes, a good question. So in the link section, there are 3 links. So I created like 3 articles on Medium that talk about, you know, how to set those things up, and you have like the code snippets basically in here. It has everything that is in the machine learning notebook. I also put an article up here that, you know, exactly talks about how to use ORDS to REST enable machine learning models. It's like really a step-by-step kind of a thing. So you can go there. For the OML services and Automl Ui, I haven't created an article yet, but maybe that is something I will do. But yeah, check out those 3 articles. If you still have questions or if comments, feel free and reach out to me at ralf.mueller@oracle.com. I'm happy to answer.
Obviously, Ralph's contact details are on the deck, which will be posted in the archives. Also worth pointing out that the pictures in his blogs are actually his own pictures. So there we are. Rich says thank you, by the way. So yes,
you're welcome.
Yeah, there's some lovely pictures as well. So you get to look at something creative while you create. All right. Any other questions?
There was one more.
Yeah, no, it was
oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. Good.
Good.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, please, obviously, I'm sure that you'll remember 100 things when you get off the call. Please feel free to reach out. And yeah, just to reiterate, if you've got an abstract that you think is interesting to us, we'd love to hear. This is not just about Oracle people presenting. We love to have customer presentations. And if you're an Oracle partner and have something interesting that you've done with a customer that they are happy for you to share, that isn't proprietary, then obviously we'd love to have a look at your abstract as well. Just so the mechanism for that is if you go and submit it online in the TechCast section, you'll find a submission area for abstracts. We can then look at, we then as a board review those and pick out whatever we can. And we're interested in those both for TechCast days when we have the seasonal 3 days in a row, but also for these TechCasts every Thursday. I've got a question here from Manoj Pallisiri. Can the link to the Medium article be shared, please? I think yes. If you look in the chat, Manoj, I've already pasted all of the links from the deck into the general chat.
So this is also on the deck here. So those are like the 3 articles. They are linked here.
Oh, I see. Some people have posted some questions in the chat instead of in the Q&A. Yeah, oh, Manoj, we've answered your question. And then Gopi Yedya says, can we create the ML model using ATP instead of ADW? Autonomous transaction processing instead of...
yeah, so I mean, machine learning, Oracle machine learning is an autonomous database. So it should be possible in ATP as well. But I'm not sure. So this is something I need to take back because I need to check with my Oracle machine learning friends. I'll take a note on that and I'll let you know. But OML services was planned for all autonomous databases. But I haven't verified if it's Marcus is here.
Marcus, yeah. Marcus.
Here we go.
Hello, Marcus.
Hey, Marcus, how are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Marcus gave the answer.
Yeah. So it is possible to create the model using ATP instead of ADW. All right, and we're actually at time. So thanks very much, everybody. And Uncle Ralf, thank you. I bow to your amazing wisdom, and very much for sharing today. It was really good.
Thanks for having me, Roger. It was a pleasure being here, and thanks to the audience for staying till the last minute. Really appreciate.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.